The stars of the Draxian sector shimmered cold and distant, but one planet drew more attention than any other. Its name was Zerath Prime, and the galaxy spoke of it in whispers filled with fear. Jagged mountains cut across its surface. Boiling rivers of acid twisted through valleys, and storms of fire and lightning tore endlessly across its skies. Most who approached it never returned. For the civilized races of the galaxy, Zerath Prime was the ultimate death world, a place designed by nature itself to destroy all life. And yet, humans had chosen to live there. The first human scouts arrived decades ago, laughing at the warnings of galactic scholars. A world like this, they said, perfect challenge for us. Slowly, humans spread across the deadly landscapes. They built cities that clung to mountainsides, domed towns that floated above boiling rivers, and shelters that could survive lightning storms capable of tearing the ground apart. To the alien observers, it was pure madness. How could any species hope to survive, let alone thrive, on a planet meant to kill? But thrive they did. Humans adapted in ways no other species could. Their suits filtered the toxic air, their machines turned storms into energy, and their scientists and bioengineers created crops and livestock that could endure poison, acid, and extreme heat. Human children were born laughing under skies filled with lightning. To the galaxy's eyes, they were impossible creatures, resilient beyond comprehension, fearless against a world that would have destroyed others in moments. The aliens watched, horrified and fascinated, as humans slowly tamed Zerath Prime. Every generation grew stronger, smarter and more resourceful. Every settlement expanded. Life bloomed where death had been expected. Alien scientists sent probes expecting to see extinction. Instead, they recorded thriving forests of engineered plants, animals that could survive venomous storms, and humans walking unprotected across volcanic plains. The galaxy began to whisper not only of human courage but of human defiance. And then one day the humans made the impossible announcement: they were leaving. Transmissions reached alien governments and scholars alike. "We are abandoning Zerath Prime," the humans said simply. "The planet has nothing more to teach us. It is time to move on." Panic and disbelief rippled across the sector. No species had ever left a death world after mastering it. Others clung to survival, honored the challenge, or feared leaving. Humans simply walked away. The departure was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Massive ships, some larger than moons, lifted from the surface carrying entire cities, machines, and even living forests. Human engineers had preserved the planet's life, ensuring it would continue long after their departure. Alien observers could only gape as humans did not hesitate, did not fear, and did not look back. A Draxian historian, watching the fleet disappear into the stars, shook its limbs in awe. "They are abandoning the ultimate trial of survival," it whispered. "And yet they are not defeated. They are humans, impossible to predict, impossible to understand." On the surface of Zerath Prime, storms raged, rivers hissed, and mountains seemed to breathe fire. Yet humans had left behind something stronger than structures or machines. They left life itself, adapted and resilient. Trees that could survive acid rain, animals designed to thrive in poison, and knowledge carved into stone and metal for any future explorer to find. Humans had conquered the death world, not for glory, not for fear, but for themselves. And as the alien races looked at the vanishing human fleet, a strange emotion settled in the galaxy, fear mixed with awe. Humans did not just survive death, they transcended it. They could leave a death world behind without hesitation, proving that life for them was not about struggling endlessly, but about rising above struggle. And that, the galaxy realized with a chill, made humans unlike anything it had ever known. News of the humans abandoning Zerath Prime spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Every planet, every system, every council of alien races buzzed with disbelief. How could a species leave a world that no other life could survive? How could they abandon a planet that the galaxy had feared for centuries? The very idea seemed impossible, and yet the humans had done it. On the Grand Council station of the Draenix sector, representatives of dozens of advanced species gathered. Holograms of the human fleet leaving Zerath Prime rotated slowly in the center of the chamber. Every member of the council stared silently. Some shook their heads in confusion. Others looked pale, their claws or tentacles trembling. The humans had not just survived, they had mastered death itself and then walked away. Why? demanded a representative from the Illyrian cluster, its voice trembling like a storm. Why leave a world you have conquered? It is insanity. A Draxian historian who had studied human history answered quietly, "Do not try to understand them as we understand ourselves. Humans do not worship struggle. They respect it, yes, but they do not need to dwell in it." Zerath Prime was a test. They passed. Now they move forward. But not everyone found comfort in the historian's words. Many species were deeply unsettled. The humans' departure suggested something far more terrifying than courage or intelligence. It suggested that humans were unbound by rules the galaxy thought universal. If a death world could be conquered and then abandoned without regret, what could not be overcome? What could not be outsmarted? Reports came in from remote sectors. Alien explorers who had attempted to approach Zerath Prime after the humans left were met with forests and fields thriving where nothing should have survived. Human machines continued their work, repairing the land, guiding life, and maintaining balance. Even in absence, humans dominated the world in a way that seemed almost eternal. In private quarters, many alien leaders confessed to a deep, gnawing fear. They realized that the humans' power was not just in their technology or strength. It was in their mind, their will, and their courage. A species that could walk into death and emerge laughing, then leave it behind, was a species the galaxy could not control, predict, or compete with. Meanwhile, in human ships traveling through uncharted space, their leaders watched the galaxy's reaction with quiet amusement. Captain Arlen of the Starbreaker, one of the largest human vessels, turned to his crew. "Let them worry," he said. "They will never understand us. We do not conquer for pride. We conquer for survival, for growth, and then we move on. That is all." The crew nodded. They had seen death up close. They had lived where no one else could, laughed where others would scream, and adapted in ways the galaxy could not imagine. Leaving Zerath Prime was not cowardice, it was proof of their strength. And yet humans did not gloat. They did not send warnings. They simply continued their journey, seeking new horizons, new challenges, new worlds to test themselves. Their silence was louder than any roar. The galaxy, watching, was left with fear, awe, and a deep, unsettling respect. Some began whispering legends. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were something more, a species capable of mastering life and death, bending harsh worlds to their will and moving beyond fear itself. Other species, no matter how advanced, could only stare, realizing that the humans' courage was absolute. In this moment, the galaxy began to change. The idea that any world could truly contain life, that any challenge was insurmountable, began to fade. Humans had proven that even the deadliest planet could be tamed and then left behind. The shock rippled across systems, leaving a single thought in the minds of every species. Humans are not like us. Humans are beyond understanding. And somewhere deep in space, the human fleet sailed forward into the unknown, leaving behind a death world and a galaxy forever changed by their audacity. Weeks after the humans abandoned Zerath Prime, a delegation from the Trallian Empire, one of the most powerful species in the galaxy, arrived near the human fleet. Their massive starships cast long shadows across the void, bristling with weapons and sensors. The delegation's mission was simple: understand why humans had left a death world and ensure they posed no threat to the galaxy. But none of them truly knew what they were about to face. Captain Arlen of the human fleet observed the approaching ships calmly. He stood on the bridge of the Starbreaker, watching the alien vessels draw closer. "They want answers," he said quietly. "Let's give them what they can understand. Truth, in its simplest form." When the Trallian ambassador finally contacted the human fleet, the message was firm and demanding. "Humans of Zerath Prime, explain your actions. Why abandon a planet that should have been your greatest achievement?" "Do not waste our time with excuses," Arlen replied, his voice steady and calm. "We abandoned Zerath Prime because we conquered it. The planet tested us, taught us, and made us stronger. There is nothing more there for us to learn. We leave, not out of fear, but because we have already won." The Trallian representatives were stunned. Their antennas twitched and their multiple eyes widened in disbelief. They had expected excuses, perhaps claims of danger or even surrender. But these humans spoke as if leaving a death world was natural, almost casual. One Trallian scientist spoke up, his voice trembling. "You survived a world that has destroyed countless species. Yet you walk away? You do not fear it?" You leave it? Arlen's expression remained calm, almost gentle. Fear is useful for survival, but it is not the measure of life. We learn, we adapt, we conquer. When the challenge is complete, we move forward. Our life is not bound to a single world, no matter how dangerous. The aliens could not grasp it. To them, Zirath Prime was ultimate glory, ultimate risk, and ultimate pride. To humans, it had been simply a step, a trial to overcome. Their logic was alien. Their courage was extreme. And their lack of attachment to survival was terrifying. Yet amid the Trelian anger and confusion, a quiet awe began to take root. Some of the younger delegates whispered among themselves, "If humans can leave a Deathworld behind, what can stop them?" One elder hissed back, warning them to remain silent. But the seed of fear had been planted. In the human fleet, life continued as usual. Engineers repaired ships. Children played under artificial skies, and the crew trained as if the Trelian presence were nothing more than a minor disturbance. Humans did not seek to impress, did not gloat, and did not show fear. Their strength was silent, effortless, and absolute. The Trelian commander could no longer contain his frustration. You flaunt power that no one else can achieve. You leave behind death itself and treat it as trivial. How can the galaxy trust you? How can we control you? Arlen leaned slightly forward, his calm voice cutting through the tension. You cannot control us, and you do not need to trust us. We are humans. We do not conquer to rule. We conquer to live, and when the lesson is complete, we move on. Silence fell over the Trelian fleet. Their minds struggled to process words that defied every rule of survival, ambition, and pride they had ever known. Humans had walked into death, conquered it, and left it behind, not for glory, not for power, but because it was simply the next step in their journey. And as the human ships continued their journey through uncharted space, the Trelian fleet finally understood something they could not deny. Humans were not like other species. They were fearless, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The galaxy's rules did not apply to them, and for the first time the aliens felt something they had never imagined. True fear, mixed with reluctant respect. The humans sailed onward, leaving the alien delegation behind. Not out of disrespect, but because, in their world, the galaxy itself was merely a series of challenges waiting to be faced, and they were ready for all of them. Weeks after the Trelian delegation left, the human fleet traveled deeper into uncharted space. The crew expected the unknown, strange planets, harsh environments, perhaps even alien threats, but nothing could prepare them for the shadow that now crept across the stars. Sensors aboard the Starbreaker detected something massive moving silently in the void. The readings were unlike any known ship or natural phenomenon. Its energy signature was vast, dark, and oppressive, sending waves of anxiety through even the most seasoned humans. Captain Arlen studied the readings calmly. "Everyone stay focused," he said, voice steady. "This is just another challenge. We face it as we always do, with courage and clarity." Despite his calm, whispers spread across the fleet. The unknown force was enormous, far larger than any human vessel, and it radiated a sense of death and cold precision. The crew felt it instinctively, a presence that seemed to weigh on their hearts and minds. The fleet's scientists scrambled to analyze the threat. "It's unlike any alien technology we've ever encountered," one engineer reported. "The energy readings, it's almost alive. It responds to our movements. It anticipates us," Arlen nodded slowly. "Then we learn faster than it can react. Humans always adapt, always." And adapt they did. The fleet altered course, scanning nearby systems for resources, using their knowledge of space and physics to hide, maneuver, and prepare. But the shadow was patient. It followed, silent and relentless, as if the void itself were stalking the humans. Then suddenly it struck. A massive wave of energy erupted near the fleet, throwing smaller ships into chaos. Alarms blared, warning lights flashed, and the crew fought to stabilize their vessels. Despite the danger, human crews remained calm. They had faced death on Zirath Prime and survived storms that could destroy entire cities. Fear did not rule them. It sharpened their minds. Arlen gave orders with quiet authority. Divert shields. Engage evasive maneuvers. Keep formation. We survive because we act, not because we panic. The fleet responded instantly. Each ship moved with precision, dodging beams and blasts that would have destroyed lesser fleets. Human pilots relied on intuition, training and courage honed through years of surviving impossible worlds. Slowly, the massive shadow began to hesitate. The humans were not fleeing. They were adapting, countering, and learning. The aliens observing from afar were stunned. They had seen humans abandon a Deathworld, defy Trillian demands, and now they were facing a force that would terrify even the most advanced species. And yet, the humans were not breaking. Not fear, not panic, not even hesitation. Inside the Starbreaker, Arlen stood before his crew. "This is what it means to be human," he said quietly. "We do not surrender to threats no matter how vast. We do not cower before death. We rise and we endure because survival is only the first step. Courage, intelligence, and unity. These are our weapons. Remember that." As the shadow drew closer, it became clear that humans were not just surviving. They were teaching the galaxy a lesson. Their ships moved like one organism, their tactics fluid and unpredictable, responding to threats before they fully arrived. For the first time, the shadow hesitated, unsure of how to strike a species that did not fear death. In the hearts of the human crews, there was calm determination. Each member knew the danger, but none doubted their ability to face it. Their unity, courage, and intelligence were stronger than any weapon the galaxy could wield. And far away in systems observing silently, alien races whispered in awe and fear. Humans had abandoned a Deathworld. They had faced unknown delegations and now confronted a force that seemed unstoppable. Yet the humans endured, unshaken, reminding the galaxy in the most powerful way possible. Survival alone was never enough. Humans existed to rise above impossible odds. As the shadow lingered in the void, unsure and frustrated, the humans sailed onward, undaunted, fearless, and unstoppable. The galaxy began to understand a terrifying truth. The humans were not merely alive. They were a force that could not be predicted, controlled, or defeated. And somewhere deep in the human fleet, Arlen looked to the stars and whispered, "We do not fear death. We do not flee it. We rise above it, always." The shadow loomed larger with every passing hour. Its presence filled the void with an oppressive weight that even the most seasoned humans had never felt before. Energy pulses rippled outward like invisible waves, testing the fleet, probing for weaknesses. The humans had prepared, but this was different. This was not a world, not storms, not hunger. They were facing a conscious force, a predator in the dark of space. Captain Arlen stood at the bridge of the Starbreaker, his eyes fixed on the dark mass ahead. "This is it," he said, voice calm yet commanding. "Remember who we are. Humans survive where no one else can. Humans fight when others would surrender. This is our test, and we will not fail." Around him, the crew worked with practiced precision. Shields were reinforced, weapon systems calibrated, and smaller strike teams prepared to launch into the shadow's aura if needed. Every movement was precise, every command purposeful. Fear had no place here. Humans had faced death thousands of times on Zerath Prime. They had learned to remain calm in the face of annihilation. The shadow struck first. Massive tendrils of energy lashed out toward the fleet, tearing the void itself apart. Smaller ships wobbled violently, alarms screaming as blasts threatened to tear them apart. Yet the humans did not panic. Pilots twisted their vessels with skill that seemed impossible, dodging, weaving, and returning countermeasures in perfect synchronization. Arlen's voice cut through the chaos. "Do not react blindly. Think, adapt, and strike where it least expects. Move as one, and we will outlast it." The fleet responded instantly. Humans moved like a single organism, predicting the shadow's attacks before they came. Their machines adapted in real time, shields reshaping, engines overloading briefly to shift in ways that no alien tactics could anticipate. Every strike of the shadow was met with human ingenuity. Every attempt to corner them answered with strategy, courage, and precision. On board the Starbreaker, engineers worked tirelessly to exploit weaknesses in the shadow's energy signature. "It's alive," one whispered, staring at the readouts. "It reacts faster than anything we know, but it hesitates when we act unpredictably." Arlen nodded. "Then we act unpredictably. This is not just survival, it's human strength. Use your minds, use your courage, use each other. That is how we win." Hours passed, and the battle stretched across the dark void. The shadow lashed, probed, and tore, yet humans endured. Slowly, the massive entity began to falter. Its energy waves collided with human defenses and returned in ways it could not anticipate. It had never faced a species that learned faster than it could attack. Finally, Arlen gave the order. Strike now! Focus all energy on its core signals. A concentrated beam of coordinated fire from the fleet struck the shadow, wrapping it in a web of controlled energy. For a moment, silence fell. The shadow wavered, shivered, and then impossibly it retreated, pulling back into the darkness from which it came. The human fleet remained silent, processing the victory. They had faced an unknown predator, something that could have destroyed them in moments, and they had survived, not because of luck, not because of brute strength, but because of courage, intelligence, and unity. In the observation decks of distant alien civilizations, fleets trembled. They had seen humans abandon a Deathworld, defy mighty delegations, and now they had watched them confront an unstoppable force and emerge victorious. The galaxy began to understand something terrifying. Humans were not just survivors. They were masters of life and death, fearless and unpredictable, and no force could bend them to the galaxy's expectations. Arlen finally allowed himself a quiet smile. We survive, he said softly, looking at the crew. But more than that, we endure. And one day, the galaxy will learn what it truly means to face humans. The fleet sailed onward, battered but unbroken, leaving the shadow behind, a reminder that humanity did not just conquer worlds, they conquered fear itself. After days of traveling through uncharted space, the human fleet arrived at a system no star charts had recorded. Strange planets circled a pale blue sun, their surfaces marked by ruins that hinted at an advanced civilization long vanished. Massive structures jutted from the planet's crusts, suspended towers and shattered cities that had once thrived, but now lay in silence. Captain Arlen stared at the ruins through the main viewport. We found something older than any records, he said softly. A civilization that survived and then disappeared. There is much to learn here. The fleet descended cautiously. Despite the apparent silence, the ruins radiated energy, ancient yet alive. Human scientists and engineers scanned the structures, discovering technology that far exceeded anything in the known galaxy. Machines that had once built entire cities autonomously, defense systems still partially active, and vast libraries of knowledge etched into indestructible materials. The aliens observing from afar gasped at the humans' actions. While most species would have sent probes and waited, humans landed, walked among the ruins, and began to understand the civilization's secrets. They moved with purpose, curiosity, and a calm that only centuries of survival on Deathworlds could give. As humans explored, they uncovered records of the civilization's fall. A cataclysmic war had torn through their system, destroying planets and civilizations alike. Their advanced technology had been no shield against fear, pride, and conflict. And yet, humans studied the ruins without arrogance, learning lessons the ancients could not. Arlen addressed his crew, his voice calm but full of quiet emotion. They were great, but they feared too much. They were powerful, but not brave enough.
Humans are different.
We do not surrender to fear. We do not bow to danger. We survive because we rise above it, not because we hide from it. The crew worked tirelessly to unlock the civilization's technology. Ancient machines, powered by unknown energy sources, hummed back to life under human hands. Devices that had remained dormant for centuries now activated, responding to humans' presence. Each discovery was met with awe, but also a deeper understanding of the responsibility humanity carried. Among the relics, a holographic record appeared, an image of the civilization's last leader. The message was simple yet haunting. We had everything. Yet we failed. Fear ruled our decisions. Pride consumed our wisdom. To survive, one must not only conquer danger but master oneself. Arlen watched the hologram silently. We have seen worlds meant to kill us, he said quietly. We have faced delegations that feared us, shadows that hunted us. But we endure, and we will endure, because we do not let fear or pride dictate our fate. Humans gathered the civilization's knowledge, storing it safely aboard their fleet. They left behind signs of life where possible, ensuring that what survived could continue to thrive long after humans departed. It was not conquest. They did not take for power, but respect, understanding, and the desire to learn. For the galaxy watching, the humans' actions were almost incomprehensible. They had abandoned a Deathworld, faced the unknown shadow, and now explored the ruins of a civilization that had fallen where others might have failed. Humans did not fear knowledge, they did not bow to danger, and they did not act out of greed or ambition. They acted from courage, wisdom, and the relentless desire to move forward. As the human fleet prepared to leave the ancient system, Arlen stood on the bridge once more. "We have learned," he said softly, "and we have endured. The galaxy will know humans not because we conquer worlds, but because we conquer fear, survive the impossible, and rise above what others cannot." And with that, the fleet lifted from the ruined planets, leaving behind the echoes of a fallen civilization and a message that would echo across the stars. Humanity was not merely alive. Humanity was unstoppable, fearless, and destined to rise above all challenges.